Hello, this is Sudarshan Starshine Star. How are you guys doing? It's a beautiful Tuesday, early evening. It is January 27th, 2026. I have a YouTube channel called It's the Dazzling of the Light, or you can just go to YouTube and type in at Sudarshana Starshine Star to access my over 300 podcasts there now. A couple of them are actual videos, and you can see me talking in a short playlist that I made there. Um, Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I would love to hear your comments and or drop some emojis to express how you feel about the subject. Let me know. I like reading them. I begin all of my clips with the three opening prayers, which are in Sanskrit and Telugu, and they are short. They're the Guru Mantra, the Ganesha Mantra, and the Gayatri Mantra. I do this to bless, uplift, purify, and protect you, me, and this clip. Before I do that, I command on the sacred, holy, divine blood of Jesus the Christ. Dearest Yeshua, please flow your sacred divine blood over all of us, all of our beloveds, all of our animal beloveds, all of our human beloveds, and please cast out the spirit of pain. Please cast out the spirit of fear. Please cast out the spirit of rejection, self-dislike, self-hatred, or the projection of that onto anyone else. Cast out all satanics and all satanic attachments. Cast out all demonics and all demonic attachments. Cast out poverty, scarcity, lack. Cast out mental illness, depression, confusion, delusion, negative illusions, error think, upside down thinking. Thank you so much, Yeshua. Yeshua, please send your healing presence now. Please heal the wounds in our souls. Thank you, Jesus. Please, thank you so much. We receive your healings, your presence, and your blessings. Amen. Svaha. I also commend on the sacred holy presence of Mother Mary to be here with us evermore in this eternal moment, even though she's always with us at all times. And Mother Mary is an aspect of Divine Mother. She's especially suited for this time where we're in this place of that we call time and space on the earth realm right now, and also in universally and cosmically. Thank you so much, Mother Mary. We know you are for everyone. We know this is not about religion, that spirituality is spirit in matter, and that applies to every being that's incarnated on this earth realm. Thank you so much for being here with us, Mother Mary and Jesus the Christ. Amen. Svaha. Now to the prayers. Om, 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 Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshvaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmahi Sri Guruve Namaha. Om Shuklam Bharatarma Vishnum Sishivarnam Chatubhujam Prasanavaranam Dhyaye Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savitur Varinyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Wonderful. Well, listeners, I'm going to call this clip Minn, short for Minneapolis or Minnesota. Minn PoPO arrested all rioters 'cause Signalgate. I know that's like a truncated headline, but I'm trying to get the communication across in the short space allowed me on the YouTube bar there. So I had this since this morning, but I just was feeling to not record it until now, and the events of the day kept twisting and turning, and I had to look into so many things like, okay, now did this happen? Now did this happen? So I'm going to share this with you, but I will interject because I have some other things to say about this. So here we go. This is from Dr. Steve Turley. And this is him speaking. He said, "It happened. Governor Tim Walz finally caved." Cut to clip from last night of Minnesota or Minneapolis Police Department pouring out into the street and arresting the rioters there. And I'm going to put a thumbnail on this clip. You can see the image from last night. And for people, some people ask me, yes, this is an audio, so you don't have the visual once you switch over to the audio, but you can easily screen shoot any thumbnail that I have on my YouTube channel, and then you can zoom in to your heart's content. So these rioters had been stalking out a hotel, a Marriott hotel, in a place in I want to call it Grove something in Minnesota, where they believe that the Border Patrol Commander Chief Gregory Bovino was staying, along with some other federal officers. So it had been determined by law enforcement that these people were not peacefully protesting. It went past it into lawlessness, then to the terms of rioters, and they were, attempting to stalk and harm via I don't know what ways, but they were not there for a purpose of just in the United States of America. Peaceful assembly is constitutional and what is allowed. When you don't agree with something, you can hold a sign, you can stand there and say I don't agree, or I don't like this, or I hate this, and you can hold up a sign. But when you start to do things beyond that, like attacking federal officers, or jumping onto their cars, or laying down in the road in front of them, or jumping on them, or attacking them in other ways that we've seen, really violent ways, that's of course not constitutional. It's not a constitutional guaranteed right. So many people just don't know that. They call themselves, or that it's protesting. It's rioting. It's lawlessness. Okay, so back to this. So over the loudspeaker in this clip that was put up from what happened in Minneapolis last night, you see, cold, snowy night, and the rioters are all in front of this hotel, and they're there, and all of a sudden you see, which was so surprising to them, Minneapolis police running out across the street, and over the loudspeakers you could hear it say, "You are now under arrest. Please sit down and wait for instruction." Now, they were really surprised because this whole time, like we see in all the other sanctuary states or cities, the police departments have not been cooperating with ICE or Border Patrol or, any federal agents. And definitely the Minneapolis police had not been cooperating. So the rioters, they just felt very comfortable. Like, who cares about the police there? They're not going to do anything. And then when they released that announcement over the loudspeakers that I just read to you, and went over and just started cuffing the rioters, they were just stunned. And really, well, let me just read this and I'll say more about that. Okay, last night Minneapolis police were unleashed, ordered by the governor himself to crack down on the protesters, rioters, after weeks of calling ICE agents Gestapo or comparing illegal migrants to Anne Frank. The Minnesota governor is now begging to cooperate with the very administration he declared war against less than 48 hours ago. And what we're about to reveal explains exactly why. Because the walls just closed in on the biggest coordinated insurrection in modern American history, and its Democrats were finally going down. The scenes from last night were frankly stunning. Minneapolis police officers who've been ordered to stand down by feckless, lawless Democrat politicians these past 6 weeks were finally unleashed to do the very job they all signed up for: restore and maintain law and order. The protesters, rioters across Minneapolis were clearly stunned, and they simply weren't prepared to get wrestled to the ground and put in handcuffs by the very local law enforcement that stood by and allowed their antics for so long. So what happened? Well, a single phone call with President Trump, that's what happened. Trump and Waltz had a, quote, very productive phone call yesterday that apparently has changed everything. Now, what we know is that going into that phone call, the Trump administration received information on infiltrated, encrypted signal chats that were orchestrating these riots. And what they found was that the signal chat network didn't just involve clueless left-wing lunatics who had nothing else to do but harass ICE agents. No, the network included Minnesota government officials and even members of Tim Walz's own administration. For example, Amanda Kohler, a campaign strategist for Walz, has been featured prominently within the network as an active participant. Evidence actually suggests Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan may have been involved at the highest levels, and here's the kicker. Investigators found donor lists showing foreign money funding these investigations. You heard that right. Foreign involvement in a coordinated effort to obstruct federal law enforcement. All right, we are talking insurrection and we are talking treason. And I want to interrupt your listener to say, I want to do a clip after this about the foreign funding behind these paid rioters, because they really have been formed like an army, actually, and it did start with Obama, but it's a very interesting story. And okay, I was gonna wait till a little bit later, but I've got to say, so I'm reading this from Dr. Steve, but you know, it's really required to look deeper than this, because it wasn't just a phone call from President Trump to Tim Walz that made him go, oh, okay, I'm changing, whatever. People are free to do what they will. But at this point in the game, if it's not understood that there are 200,000 white hats wearing hyperskin face masks with voice box technology across the earth realm, and they had to do that to be put in position in government, in high-level big business CEOs that were taken to Gitmo and for either crimes against humanity or treason. Big military personnel like generals, very A-list Hollywood celebrities, musicians, famous authors, self-help gurus, a lot of people that are, have name and fame that are in the public eye, and it would be noticed if they were missing. So that's not Jeff Bezos that's been walking around. That's a white hat actor with like I said, a hyperskin face mask and voice box technology. That is, people, it's such a sticky wicket to discuss this even more, because so many people, they are just blackpilling, and they're getting so distraught and disgruntled and everything because they keep saying, where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? And it's just so hard for me to say, you have to do your own independent research. You can't just look at the surface, or definitely just look at mainstream media, or even look at what you think are some truthers and listening to them and following them. Like, I don't ask you to believe me. I really want to inspire people to do their own independent research, not using Google, not using Wikipedia, using independent browsers like Brave Bing, or going on to DuckDuckGo, or going on to BitChute, or going on to YouTube. YouTube still has a lot of good stuff on it. You have to know what you're searching for, though. And Telegram has good things, but it's, has also a lot of imposters and junk on it. But it's really, I know, if I say things that's just going to get people, even more disgruntled maybe. But like, I love the white hat who's ever posing as Kristi Noem. But that is not the original Kristi Noem. If you look at that woman who's supposed to be in her 60s, and she has like a Cabbage Patch plastic face on, and you can even see it as it buckles and wrinkles, just like we see with the other ones. So I love what that white hat's doing, but that's not the original Kristi Noem, all right? That's not the original Pam Bondi. That's not, they're called 1.0s. It's not. So if you think Tim Walz at this point, of everything that he has done, all the crime that he's committed, that he still retains power, and he's like, talking to President Trump like, well, I'll cede this to you, President Trump. If you're doing this, I guess I'll give in now. This is just what's called the show, and it doesn't mean that there's not a battle going on. There's a huge battle across the earth realm still going on right now. It's between dark and light. It's, really between the goodly and the godly, and really the satanic. It's between the controllers. A lot of them have been taken out, the top level, but they have a huge base of minions, okay, that need to be taken out still, that fill all these positions in all areas and all walks of life. So it's really required to look deeper and to do independent research. I just don't know how much more I have to say this. So people that are like, there's no arrest or whatever, they don't know. It's been many years that these beings, whether it's Hillary, whether it's Obama, all these beings, they have been taken, and not just to Gitmo, because there's other places like Navy barges and military prisons in Iceland and in some Slavic countries and different places where the U.S. military has military prisons, and they are given military tribunal, and if found guilty, and most of them are, because what it requires of the military to go pick up people, they have pretty solid, good evidence. And it's capital punishment if you're found guilty of crimes against humanity, like sex, child trafficking, or raping, babies and children, or drinking their blood, or doing all the nasty, incredible, hideous, torturous side businesses that go along with that, like the forced organ harvesting while the baby or small child is still alive, or teenager or young person. All of these things. If a person is found guilty of crimes against humanity or treason, that's a capital crime. And I think I don't have to explain what capital punishment is. So, if people want to be so short-sighted and just keep flipping back and forth and complaining about one thing, the eggs are too high, why don't you get the eggs down? Blah, 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 and they just focus on one thing. You have to have patience in this. This is a very worthy battle. This is a casino royale. This is the battle for everything. And the people that just focus so much, we've all been through hardships, and the battle is not over yet. But there is a show going on because so many people have been taken out. So many people are not around. And if it's not the face mask with voice box technology, a lot of it is CGI. Okay, so I just have to say that. I don't know what else to say about it at this point in the game. That people still want to believe that they have all the inside scoop and they know everything that's going on and this and that, and they're still getting so discouraged, like President Trump isn't doing enough or the White Hats aren't doing enough, as if, and the global White Hat military alliance that's cleaning up this satanic filth and mess across the entire earth realm. So I like what Dr. Steve is saying here, but he's not going deeper than this. Like, he's making it like Tim Walz is actually picking phone calls up and, oh, hello, President Trump. As I said, no, not exactly. Okay, so let me go back here. So, and here's the kicker. Investigators found donor lists showing foreign money funding these organizations. You heard that right. Foreign involvement in a coordinated effort to obstruct federal law enforcement. All right, we are talking insurrection and we are talking treason. So the Trump administration uncovered the fact that members of Walz's own government were running an organized operation to track, dox, and obstruct federal law enforcement, which is, again, the very definition of an insurrection, paid for by foreign money, which is the very definition of treason. They were using government databases to run license plates of ICE vehicles, dispatching agitators to block arrests, and coordinating what can only be described as a state-sponsored insurrection. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed that they have opened a federal investigation into the reaching the highest levels of Minnesota's government border czar. No, excuse me, reaching the highest levels of Minnesota's government. Border czar Tom Homan, and I have to interrupt here again, listener, to say, I can't name which clip. If I could, I would show it to you, but I can't. You can look this up for yourself again, too. That it was President Trump in a big rally. You know, people have to know when President Trump is pointing his finger at someone sideways and seemingly praising them and doing all this stuff, his finger pointing sideways is pointing to the bad guys, okay? So when he's doing that, he's pointing them out. And a very wise person once said that they never want to be someone that President Trump is putting the spotlight on. Like, what a great gal, what a great guy, come on up here, whatever. When he's doing that, he's literally putting the spotlight on them, putting awareness on them to show people to pay attention to that person, then to do their own digging into their background. Like if you found out, for example, the real history of Pam Bondi, a Scientologist involved all kind of things. I mean, these beings that are doing the job now are white hats. They're goodly and godly, and they're doing this great work of cleaning up this filth and this corruption and this foulness. But the originals, the 1.0s, are not freely walking around. All right? So President Trump, as I was saying, even to Tom Homan, when he first appointed him, President Trump said, look at this guy, central casting. He said it like 3 times. He goes, what a perfect example. Central casting, central casting. You couldn't get better than this guy, central casting. And he's pointing his finger at him. He's showing people that know that this is a Tom Homan 2.0 and that the original, the 1.0, is not this guy. And when he says central casting, he's letting you know that that is an actor, that is a double, that is part of what's putting on this, what will be called, when it's all said and done, the greatest story ever told of how the White Hat Global Alliance across the Earth realm defeated the Satanic Cabal, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Jesuits, the Khazarian Mafia, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Satanic Royals, the 13 Satanic Papal bloodline families out of Venice and Rome. All right? So, Tom Homan 2.0 is an incredible patriot and white hat doing incredible work, but that's not the original Tom Homan. Recently, I saw a photo, looked like it was from the 70s or something, of Tom Homan with a white t-shirt on and standing out of his car with like a cowboy hat on, his sunglasses. Totally different vibe. And that was the 1.0. Okay? The original. So, oh, and I wanted to add this too. I don't know because, I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know and do my best to share it. And if I get it wrong, I let you guys know immediately. But other than the opportunity to expose all these beings, all these 1.0s for what they really are, I think honestly, because there will be a time when this mission is complete and the show has come to a close, and I don't think everyone will be taking a bow, but so then these beings that we know, like you think it's Christine Ohm, like you think it's Pam Bondi, like you think it's Tom Homan, like you think it's Elon Musk, like you think it's, all these beings, they will be able to, the real beings will still be able, that are wearing the face masks, will be able to have their lives again because they're not, you don't know who they are, and they can just kind of melt away. Yeah? Because the original Elon 1.0 is not walking around. I've already talked about that on my YouTube channel several times. So, back to this reading by Dr. Steve. He says, where did I leave off? Border czar Tom Homan is on the ground as we speak in Minnesota. And Trump himself has been repeatedly using the I word Insurrection. Dr. Steve rolled his R's when he said that. Insurrection, to describe what's happening in Minneapolis, and it looked as if the walls were closing in on walls. It looked like the combination of the uncovering of the Signal Chat network, the FBI investigation, the Tom Homan coming to Minneapolis to spearhead law enforcement efforts. That was enough to convince Tampon Tim that he was about to get Maduro'd. And so he blinked. He picked up the phone, he called Trump, and now Minneapolis law enforcement has been unleashed to crush the protesters, rioters. All as ICE agents catch the rapidly dwindling number of illegal migrants in Minnesota. It's pretty clear that Tim Walz just capitulated completely. Now, make no mistake, this is literal treason we're talking about, right? You've got state officials coordinating with foreign-funded activists to use government resources to obstruct federal agents carrying out their lawful duties. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, the DOJ, Department of Justice, the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. And I'm saying these listeners just for people that maybe aren't American that are listening to this, they might not know these abbreviations. The FBI, they are all actively investigating right now. Walz knows the jig is up, and he's basically pulling a Mayor Eric Adams at this point, right? Do you remember the New York City Mayor Eric Adams, Democrat or former Democrat? He originally stood up to Trump and he said, "We are a sanctuary city and you can't keep busing." Well, this was during the time that originally when Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida and Governor Greg Abbott of Texas were busing all of their illegals into New York City. And then Trump came in and Trump said, "We're going to crack down on your sanctuary city policies." And Mayor Eric Adams says, "No, you are not. No, we are. This is our citizens. These are our neighbors." And then he quickly folded when he got embroiled in his own scandal. Speaking of, by the way, we haven't even mentioned the multi-billion-dollar fraud ring that's being investigated in Minneapolis and is implicating Walz's administration. So make no mistake, that's why Walz surrendered in all of this. Not because he suddenly grew a conscience, not because he cares about public safety, but because he knows Trump has the receipts. And listener, boy does he ever. And also as part of this huge cleanup operation, all the rioters, if they didn't know, they've been so tagged and they're about to all be bagged. All the people, whether it was in Portland, New York City, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, no matter where it was, Chicago, the rioters that were, not people that were peacefully protesting, because as I said before, and I think pretty much everyone knows, that's a constitutional right and that's legal. There's nothing wrong with peacefully protesting things that you don't agree with. You can speak up about it. But for the people that were doing more than that were rioting and causing violence and lawlessness or hurting and harming other citizens that were conservative or didn't agree with, Antifa and, all of that, or ICE agents, Border Patrol, any police, anything like that, they are known. Because not only have they been filmed, recorded, they know where they live, they know everything about them. But whether it be Antifa or, any other deluded leftist paid rioters, violent mob beings, minions of their, dark source, satanic, corrupt puppet masters, they didn't know that in their very crowds, no matter where it was, there were federal officers undercover that were observing and seemingly, taking part in a certain way and seeing everything and witnessing everything and jotting down everything. So they know the faces, they know the names, they know where they live, they know their license numbers, they know where they work, if they work other than their paid rioting jobs, if they have a part-time job at some coffee house or something. Okay? So they've been tagged and they will be bagged. So then Dr. Steve says, Trump has the receipts. The signal chats have been preserved. The license plate databases have been documented. The foreign donor connections are being traced. And everyone involved, from state representatives to campaign strategists to possibly the lieutenant governor herself, is now under federal investigation. So, what's the agreement that Trump and Walz hammered out on that phone call? And then I wrote in parentheses my own thing, as if LOL, because I already told you why. Yeah, that it wasn't like some one pithy weighted phone call that made this happen. Anyway, Dr. Steve says, well, that's exactly what we're about to find out, but I'll give you a little hint. It's everything Trump wanted. At the heart of getting Walz to buckle was the flooding the zone strategy. That's what border czar Tom Homan has been talking so much about of late. You overwhelm sanctuary cities with massive ICE presence. We're talking literally 5 times the number of their entire police department. And that overwhelming force eventually gets these sanctuary cities to cave. They give up on their sanctuary city policies precisely because the calculus isn't working anymore. Those policies are only exacerbating and increasing the amount of federal agents taking over their cities. And this is the goal for the Trump administration. The goal isn't to flood the zone. The goal isn't to send in, 100,000 federal troops into Minneapolis. The goal is to get cities like Minneapolis to drop their sanctuary city nonsense and cooperate with federal officials so as to remove as many illegal migrants as possible, as quickly as possible. Remember, the Trump administration has confirmed that they're removing 10 times the amount of illegals from red states than we're seeing from Minneapolis, but you don't hear about it. It's not in the news every day because there's complete cooperation between state and local law enforcement and federal law enforcement. He means, in the red states, in the conservative states. There are no riots because local police in red states won't allow it. There were no liberal lunatics using their SUVs to try to hamper law enforcement operations of federal agents because local law enforcement won't allow it. That's what the Trump administration ultimately wants from Minneapolis. They've got their eye on the ball. The eye on the ball is to deport all illegal migrants and all future Democrat voters from this country. And it looks like President Trump got exactly what he wanted. The flooding the zone with over 3,000 federal agents has worked. It was a forcing mechanism that got Walz to back off as much of his sanctuary city policies. The signal network being uncovered, I'm sure, helped as well. So in exchange, President Trump reportedly agreed to pull back some agents. That's the key term he used, some. So as I understand, these are the agents from that extra 1,000 that were sent in with Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. So these are the guys who otherwise secure the border, the southern border. Their normal job isn't to deal with these obnoxious, odious lunatics in urban environments. They're the ones, these are the Border Patrol officers who close the border so securely that they've reduced monthly illegal border crossings to 0. There is nothing they would love more than to get out of the cold of Minneapolis and get back into the hot deserts of the border. That's what they, with Bovino, by the way, that's what they do. That's their jam. Now, there are conflicting reports as to whether Bovino is going to go back to the border as well. Again, that's what he does. That's what he loves doing. That's what he was great at. And then, listener, I'm going to say... Gregory Bovino has actually been promoted, not demoted. The fake news media saying, oh, he's fired. He's not fired. It's just that there's no overreaching commander of Border Patrol in Minneapolis right now, or in Minnesota right now. But White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed that Gregory Bovino is definitely doing a great job, definitely on the job. And now he has a national position because now he's going to be moving. This is what Caroline Levitt said, across the country and doing different things. So he went from, being in Minneapolis and now he's national. So that's a promotion. So despite what the headlines of the fake news media want to say, that's what really happened. So then back to Dr. Steve, he said, but regardless, we'll have to see. Pulling back some agents involves only, as I understand it, portions of the CBP, that's California Border Patrol, that were brought in to help with security as ICE were making their arrests of illegal migrants. It does not, at this point, refer to the original 2,000 that came in, the original 2,000 ICE agents that came in 6 weeks ago in the original surge. It appears to be a very minor pullback. These agents, President Trump also agreed that local law enforcement can do their own investigations into the recent SHOOTING. But the only way President Trump's going to allow any of this is if local and state law enforcement in Minneapolis actually do their jobs and cooperate with ICE and other agencies. And apparently, as you saw in those videos, that is happening. Also, a huge concession from Walz is he's going to honor, again, this is what he's claiming, he's going to honor detainers. In other words, when local law enforcement catch an illegal alien and federal agents find out about it, what they do is they instruct local law enforcement to keep him in custody, keep him detained so that they can arrest him, so that they don't have to go looking for him, right? That's not what sanctuary cities do. They actually automatically release the migrant, the illegal migrant, once they find out ICE is coming for them. I know, it's disgusting, but that's what they've been doing. So ICE had to go door to door to find these people. Well, it looks like that is now officially over. Minneapolis law enforcement is going to be honoring detainers, which effectively destroys sanctuary city policies. So this would give the operation much more manpower and access to local infrastructure and places to help with efficiency. And so we've got Walz conceding and cooperating with ICE, honoring immigration retainers. And then Trump has the leverage of the extra 1,000 federal agents that were sent in. We can use as a carrot for Walz and withdraw some of them. So I see this as an unequivocal victory for President Trump. Without question, he's getting exactly what he wants. President Trump just taught Democrats a masterclass in the power of the executive branch. If President Trump wants you as governor or mayor to do something, you will do it. Eventually, you will bend the knee. Tim Walz just learned that lesson the hard way, and every other sanctuary state governor just watched it happen in real time. Welcome to Trump's America, where the rule of law is being made great again. Hallelujah. But listen, I want to say, so, the truth of what's been going on, the incredible corruption, the incredible fraud, the incredible foulness, the darkness, the satanic hideousness of what's been done to our babies and children for really thousands of years. All this stuff that we were just so unaware of, all the underground tunnels and cities underneath our feet, all the weather weapons, all the corruption of pretty much every institution, everything that we really held dear. It's like very shocking. And if from the very beginning, if the white hats had just, which they had the right to do, and the military had the right to do, to arrest, for example, just to take America, for example, the United States government officials who were, in Congress and Senate and everything else, who had committed crimes against humanity and or treason. Listeners, there wouldn't even be 10% left. That's how huge the corruption was. There'd be nothing left. They'd be like, oh, where's the government? There's no U.S. government. Oh, where's the medical industry? Oh, there's no medical industry left. Oh, where are all the top CEOs of all the corporations? Oh, there's nothing. There's nobody there. Their phones are ringing. Nobody's answering them. Their offices are empty. Where are all these so many principals and things of schools, universities, colleges, so many things like that, or even, which is pretty laughable because it's so obvious right now when you see these facsimiles of A-list and B-list movie stars, TV stars, streaming stars, musicians, authors, uh, social media influencers, as they're called, whatever. I mean, you just have to pay attention and say it's not Ozempic. Those are not the actual 1.0s. They're not the originals. But all this couldn't be handled all at once because also too the shock is too great. How shocking is it even right now when we keep uncovering day to day all this huge fraud and deception and corruption and everything else? It's just one thing after another. And this has been slow rolled out for years. So now we're to the point of now we're getting to what the signal chats. I mean, of course they already knew that, but now as we're going to reveal, now we're going to get back to City of London. Now we're going to get back to the satanic controllers and the elites, as they call themselves. I think they have the right to rule this entire earth realm. Who's funding? Who's funding this insurrection in Minneapolis, for example? So now we're getting that chapter. We had the Leering centers. Yeah, that Nick Shirley uncovered on all the daycare fraud and all the transportation for the disabled and autistic children and handicapped people and the elderly, all that fraud exposed. We are now getting more of the H-1B visa fraud that's all over the United States, where fraudsters have been leasing or buying nice, big suburban homes and saying that they are, but registering them as some company that has like 50 or so people from India or China or another country that are on H-1B visas, tech companies, etc. So they're blocking out any Americans from getting those jobs, and they're not any more qualified than Americans that could have that job, but they're getting, starting salary 100K, 150K, some higher than that. And it's being found that these houses there's no one even in there, and they're just registered as a tech company. But when independent journalists have been going and finding out several places in Texas, in small towns, they've been finding them, and there's going to be so much more uncovered. It's just a big scam. It's a huge scam. There's nobody there. There's just the money's being collected. It's just crazy. So, thank you for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you. What's your comment? What do you think about this? Tell me what you think. You don't have to agree with me, but please keep it respectful. I don't like everyone to be just having to, think that they only have to agree in order to be friendly, to be acquaintances, or to be anything like that. That's ridiculous. It's like we all have a right to, express what we want to express, but please keep it respectful. I end all of my clips with a closing prayer, which is in Sanskrit and Telugu, and it's very short. And what I'm saying is, God bless all beings in all worlds. And I do want to add one more thing for anyone to, there was, several days ago, there was an ICE officer who had some fingers bitten off by some, I can't even imagine, there's some demonic rioters. And then 2 days ago, there was close-up photos, which I looked at and I shared with some people to prove it. But it's just tragic to me that there was it was a woman that in Minneapolis picked up a flashbang grenade and wanted to throw it, that the ICE officers, they throw into the street, and they it makes loud flashbangs, and it makes people like leave the area when they're saying you're getting too close, like back off from an ICE facility or whatever. She picked it up with a bare hand, and it exploded in her hand, and it took at least 2, if not 3 of her fingers off. And she was like, it was horrible. Oh, I just was so tired of people hurting other people and hurting themselves. But what I've seen since that couple days ago is that there are a lot of people that think it's okay to make jokes about that. Like they think, people deserve it because they're rioting and they're insane and they're lefties and liberals, whatever. Please don't take that wrong path. We can call deluded people deluded. We can say that they have insane policies and are doing insane things. we will say that please use your common sense, don't pick up flashbangs, don't do these things. But when some person has like their hand blown off, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, it's like, please don't celebrate that. I'm just, I'm saying that. Of course, everyone's free to do what they do, but that's just very devilish to me. It's like, please don't celebrate that. Um, just, it's tragic that happens to anyone, and you want people to learn a lesson. Like, hopefully other people observe that or heard about that or see that and would now know, don't pick up flashbangs, or why are you pretending to LARP as like a revolutionary, a trained being, these leftist writers, um, and act like you know all these things that most people, if they're actually are some kind of a force, a military force, or presence like that, have been trained, and you're just thinking you can do all these things from your like barista job in Portland or whatever. Oh, anyway, God bless all beings in all worlds. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, peace, peace, peace is what we're all looking forward to. God bless you and yours. I'm sending much love and big hugs to you and yours. I'll see you when I see you, and bye-bye for now.